Hello, welcome to this Year 1 module of MA0112 Logistics Management. And this short introductory video is for Topic 1, Introduction. I'm quite sure many of us has been using the word logistics in our daily life, especially youngsters like you. You guys are very active in joining CCAs, activities, and you do planning to run the event activity, and inevitably you guys will involve logistics. Many of you will definitely use the word logistic. How about the logistics? Who is the logistics in charge? So what is logistic? Before we continue, let's look at the objective of this topic. There are 4 objectives as mentioned in your notes. The list here is summarized from your notes. Therefore, you still have to read your notes, right? We shall define what is logistics. What is multimodal or multimodal transport and the growth of multimodal transport. Globalization, yes. With advanced technology, with the internet, globalization is made possible. What is the impact of globalization then? Of course, with the COVID-19 pandemic now, there's a argument on cessation of globalization. That means globalization stops, which is quite true, right? Nobody can travel. But the good news could be you can still travel virtually. Alright, let's look at the 4th objective, which we are going to talk about and understand briefly or introductory intermodal system. Now, logistics. What is logistics? At least in our maritime context, or rather maritime logistics, to me, logistics is just the items that is needed to transfer or to bring items from one place to another. Why do you need to bring the item from one place to another? Maybe someone buy it from you. You need to deliver it to them. Right? So what is the logistic that you use by transferring that item to that person? What do you use to contain that item? Is it a box or bottle? Right? And do you need to immediately transfer to him? Probably he say, oh, don't send to me now, send to me 2 days later. So where are you going to keep the item? Right? So if you look at the left figure here, you can see many images that involve logistic. Transportation, for example, the people, the item that is used to store the item, the package, the boxes, right? And this logistical image is very important because all this logistic activity will link to a supply chain. A supply chain basically is a chain. Each segment of the chain has got a node or something to be connected. Alright? Okay, but we are not talking about supply chain in this chapter. You will do supply chain when you are year 3. But you need to briefly know about logistics involve supply chain or supply chain involve logistic. I let you think about it. Okay? Multi-modal transport. You know what is a transport, but do you know what is the meaning of multi-modal? Even though you don't know, the image here probably is able to show it to you. Multi-modal, that means types of transport, right? Different types of transport. On the land, what do you have? At sea, what do you have? In the air, what do you have? Right? under the multimodal transport, we are going to look at world trade growth. How does multimodal transport grow the world trade? Definitely, right? We are talking about international trade. You need all the multimodal transport for the world trade growth. For example, how do you get your iPhone? How do you get your Android phone? Without multimodal transportation, do you think you are able to get them? Yeah, you can say it's a US product, but manufactured in China. You still need the logistic in China to get the raw materials, the required material. Not everything is from China, it's from elsewhere. Then you have the assembly plant in China to form the iPhone, and the iPhone is being exported out from China, all right, to the whole world. But we are just talking about the trade on iPhone, right? So in maritime, how will iPhone be exported out? Very easy, right? Containerization, container ship. You cannot be using a bulk carrier to carry iPhone or to export or to deliver iPhone. It doesn't make sense. So all this exportation, all this transferring from China to the rest of the world is a growth for Apple, right? It's not just for a growth for Apple as well. It involves many aspects. The manufacturer, the factory, the supplier of the raw material, the land transport. They have to bring the raw material to the manufacturing factory, right? Then after assembly, again, land transport probably. It could be air transport to ship those products. If the land transport, they will bring to the terminal. From the terminal, you will probably store in a warehouse before subsequent delivery to the ship. Then from the ship, it does not necessarily go directly to the destination. For example, from China, they may transit Singapore and then offload the iPhone in Singapore, then unload it to another ship. So you see, all these involve revenue, involve money. Therefore, it leads to the growth in trade, right? And of course, for multimodal transport, for the world to grow in international trade, technology is very important. Needless to say, right? You don't have to study this module to recognize this or to realize this. Technological development. Now we do not have any problem because our technology advances very fast. It's too fast and it becomes very scary, right? So how does technological development help multi-modal transport? For example, trucks will be affixed with GPS. The company can track the truck, can track the ship, can track the movement of the cargo. So by tracking, is it about invasion of privacy? Definitely not. They want to know where is the product? Where can I receive the product? Or when can I receive the product? Time is the essence, right? So all this technology will help a lot because normal human being, we will not be able to track this way, right? Not like the old time you use the pigeon to send a message, those kind. Okay. Another thing about multimodal transport also, consumer expectation. You are the consumer, you are the customer. Every time you order something, you want fast. You want people to deliver to you fast, isn't it? So in the international trade business, you have to think about consumer or customer's requirement, right? Here you say, I want more, not just more, I want it fast. All right, so multimodal transport may help, especially if you are in the first world country. They have advanced train system, road system, air system, maritime system. Sometimes things gotten slowed down because the cargo probably is stuck at the developing country where they do not have more advanced technological development. Then the customer will be not happy. Lastly is air freight. Alright, air freight, sea freight, road freight, whatever freight. It all depends on the type of cargo, the distance or the destination. But here we are talking about air freight. Do people send things by air freight most of the time? Depends, right? Depends on the type of cargo. Because air freight is also very, very expensive. Imagine the fuel used by the aeroplane compared to the fuel used by the ship, compared to the fuel used by the car or the truck or the lorry. Of course, the advantage of air freight is it is very fast, right? Therefore, you have to think of the type of cargo or the urgent need of the cargo. It may not be a valuable cargo, but sometimes it's urgent need. Things like medicine. Medicine is important, but sometimes you don't have to ship by air freight, right? Unless it is urgent need. On humanitarian basis, sometimes, right? You have natural disasters going on, people dying, people injuring. So you need to air freight the essential to this country that is suffering. Otherwise, you don't really use air freight. It is too expensive. The next part, we are talking about packing, storage, and stacking. Yeah, you have the goods, everything, especially finished good. You need to pack them, isn't it? You need to store them. Why do you need to store them? It is not necessary that after packing, you straight away put on a truck and straight away deliver. It happens, but it's not necessary so. And how about stacking? How do you stack your cargo or how do you stack your goods without damaging them? Therefore, the term unitization. Right? Goods are being unitized. That means they are being compiled into a unit. For example, this man here is pushing a trolley of 5 boxes. These 5 boxes are units. Now the unit is box, so there are 5 boxes here. It doesn't matter what is inside. Now, one question for you to ponder: can you unitize oil? An oil tanker loading hundreds of thousands of tons of oil. Can you unitize them? Or can the oil product or cargo fall under unitization? Okay, for you to think about, right? Of course, unitization, we also talk about palletization using pallets. Alright. Palletization, the word pallet here is actually serving just as a base, right? As a base for those unitized cargo to be placed on board the base. The reason is for work process. What work process? If you look at the pallet, you have a hole here, right? It's for forklift. Yes, it's for forklift. For easy transferring, easy fetching, right? Easy unloading the unitized cargo onto a transport. Right. For example, if you use container to carry the goods, palletization is very important. You will see forklift carrying all these pallets of cargo or boxes into the container. Pallet is a good design, and in fact it's a very cheap design because the pallet, the material that is used to build the pallets, they are from very cheap woods. Well, containerization, alright, nobody should be feeling strange about the term containerization. So I'm giving you additional to the notes pertaining to the dimension of container. Usually we use the word TEU, 20 equivalent unit, to describe a 120-footer container. So this diagram here is a 20-footer container. Alright, although here it says 19 feet something something, this is because they are not taking the whole length, they are taking the length, the internal part. But the height typically is 8 foot 6, the base is also 8 foot 6. Then we have the 40-footer, the 2 TEU. Right, these are the very normal and popularly used or very prominent in Singapore on the road when we see, right? You see container truck pulling them. However, there are some additional or awkward measurement. For example, you have the high cube container. This is a 40 footer. However, the height is 1 feet taller than the usual 40 footer. The usual one is 8 feet 6, right? Is 8 feet 6, and this one. But then the high cube, yeah, we call them high cube, is 9 feet 6. Alright, so these are the high cube 40 footer container. However, there is also a 45 footer container. Normally, how do you know it's a 45 footer container? You will see the word 45 is being indicated here for an untrained eye. For a trained eye, one look, you know it's a 45 footer. How do you know? Because for a 45 footer container, you will see the extension here, both at the front and at the back. You will see there are two twist lock sockets. Meaning to say, the 45 footer container can be stacked on top of the 40 footer container. Right? 45 footer container is longer, but it can be put on top of a shorter container. That's why they have a two twist lock socket here. If this box of 45 footer container is stacked on top of this 40 foot container, the locking device, which is called the twist lock, will be locked here, the inner socket, which is going to be locked here. Right? So same thing for the other corners. Do you load 40 footer on top of 45 footer? The answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. You will find it very hard to take out, or you can't take out at all. Right? It is always a longer one to load on top. So that's 45 footer. We also have another very funny dimension called the 53 footer. Yes, during my sailing days, I have carried 53 footer container. They are all called high cube. Even the 45 footer is in a high cube container. Remember, why do we use the word high cube? High cube because their height is 9 foot 6, which is higher than the usual which is higher than the usual 40 footer container. Right? For normal one is 8 foot 6, but the high cube is 9 foot 6. So 45 foot container is also 9 foot 6. Then the 53 footer is also 9 foot 6. Alright, all this is just the length. You see, for a 43 footer is very, very long. But they are not popular. Okay, they are not popular. Some other example of container is a flat rack. A flat rack container. This type is used for cargo that is cannot be fitted exactly to the dimension of a container box. They may be protruding out. For example, tank, right? The tank, or some vehicle, some boat. Then we do have the last one. It's actually not the last one. There's some more. I'm just giving you some little bit of example. It's a tank container, or sometimes it is called a tanktainer, right? So it's only the outer frame supporting a cylindrical tank within. Alright, what do you have to consider for multimodal transport? This is in 1.4, section 1.4 of your notes. So if you are planning to deliver a cargo, right? I'm sure many of you who will eventually involve in this if you are continuing to pursue maritime or even logistics and management. You have something to ship. So you have to consider, hey, what mode of transport do I need? Do I need a ship, airplane, train, truck, or combination of the above? Which is cheaper? Which is more feasible? Do I need it urgently? Correct? So if you need it urgently, you need it fast, then you have to use a faster transport. But how about the destination? Is it very far? Right? Is it more economical to use a ship although it is far? based on the quantity that we are carrying, hundreds of thousands in bulk or in unitized situation. Also, you have to consider the port and terminal handling them. Why so? Because certain ports and terminals, they are not as advanced as you have expected. They may not have certain cargo working gears. Alright? So all this, you see, is a lot of knowledge and a lot of things to think about. It is not just simple as, okay, I want to send the thing from A to B, let's go A to B, that's all. No. That requires a lot of research, knowledge, planning, negotiation, right? You also need to consider, sometimes if you were to be using the railway system, is it better to use a railway system or the truck system, right? Railway system is very famous in big continent like the Americas, Europe. A lot of container boxes are being put on top, trimmed, and being delivered. Can be delivered to the port or delivered to the final destination. And inland waterway also. Inland waterway means rivers, right? Typically rivers. Sometimes you use river boat or river barges to transport. Or some of the rivers is flow out to the main sea area. So inland waterway. So we have to consider. Of course, in Singapore, we don't need inland waterways. We don't have railway system to carry cargo. Ours is purely by container truck. That's for container cargo. For bulk cargo, how? Think about it. Jurong Port. If it's for bulk cargo, is there anything from the land, or what kind of transport from the land we are going to use to fetch the bulk cargo from Jurong Port to the destination? Destination means still within Singapore. Alright? Road haulage, okay, you know what's road haulage, huh? The lorry, the trailer, tractor, unit, or whatever. Do you need road haulage? If you need, what type of road haulage? Do you need container trucks or you need normal lorries? Inland container depot and inland clearance depot. Yeah, if there's inland container depot, of course in Singapore we do not have, right? In other countries, probably you have like Vietnam. I'll give you a simple example, like Vietnam. You have to go through the Saigon River. The container depot are all inland, right? They are not like Singapore. We are exposed to the main sea area. In US, if an oil cargo in US, the Mississippi River, right? It takes 33 hours to travel the Mississippi River before you need the inland oil depot. That will be the oil depot, normal container, right? So if you have the inland depot, you have to have the inland clearance depot also. Yeah, you need to clear, right? Like custom, excise, declaration. And when we talk about container, remember you have to consider what type of container are you going to use? Or are you going to use a high cube container? Are you going to use a normal 1 TEU or 2 TEU? Do you need a 53 footer? Do you need a tank container? Through pricing, this comes back to finally everything you have decided. Then what is the final cost? Right? What is the final cost? Because when you are planning all these, at the same time you are getting quotation. So you see, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of challenges, a lot of things to think through, and can be quite stressful but challenging, good challenge. Lastly, we have computer technology. This is a one technology that is able to help us to expedite the entire work process. But container technology, again, we have to empathize. Does every part of the world have advanced technology like we have in Singapore? Not necessarily so, right? All the nodes mean the point where you connect. For example, your cargo can be coming from Europe. From one Europe port, It's going to go to another node in the Europort, transfer to that. Then from there it go down, it may go to Egypt, transfer again. Then from Egypt cross the Suez Canal coming down, going to Sri Lanka, connect again. Then from Sri Lanka pass to another mode of transport, then it reaches Singapore. Right? Of course, with the computer technology, it's easy to help you, but what if the node or the connecting port does not have advanced computer system or technology? Globalization. All you youngsters are all globalized generation, but unfortunately, it's halted now. Of course, virtually we are still globalized. For example, now you are studying, I don't have to see you, right? And we are doing flipped classroom. Flipped classroom means you have to study on your own. The lecturer can use all type of method for you, notes for you to read. Or now I'm making this video. All right, I'm not promising that I'm going to make video for all the topics, and we are still connected. This video can be watched by people in the United States if I put it on the YouTube under public domain, right? So it's globalization. So despite the pandemic, actually globalization is still subsisting. So globalization is important because when there is a global market, meaning there is a global demand, right? Or if you have something that is only demanded by Singaporean, only Singaporean will buy. People from Malaysia, Indonesia will not buy. Then it is not a global market anymore, right? It is a localized market. But globalized market means good if Singapore you produce something or you invented something, the whole world is using, just like the iPhone and some other Android phone. Now the typical example will be the iPhone. The whole world is using. That means the demand in the whole world will increase. Correct? And then, of course, competition will be there, right? People prefer Huawei over iPhone or iPhone over Samsung and long. Anyway, there's still demand and there's still a globalized demand. When the demand increases, it benefits, or there's a benefit of economy of scale. What do you mean by economy of scale? Right? We will be touching economy of scale later or in other topics. But at the interim, basically economy of scale means you bring big quantity at one go, which is more economical viable. For example, shipping. Shipping is a typical example of economy of scale. Yes, ship is slow, very slow, but ship is able to carry huge quantity. Look at the size of the ship. Even the biggest plane in the world is also shorter than sometimes a big bunker barge in Singapore. Right? Yes, ship is slow. From Singapore to Europe, a tanker you have to cross the Suez Canal and so on, probably take 12 to 16 days. But if you take aeroplane, it takes probably only 12 hours, right? And the aeroplane is not able to carry such huge quantity of oil, right, as compared to the ship. So on the principle of economy of scale, and there's a demand of oil, right? So using ship is much more beneficial. And the global identity, okay, this is talking about reputation. Reputation, global identity, your product is good, so reputation is good. Again, I like to use handphone again, right? So if ABC handphone brand override XYZ handphone brand, so the whole world is demanding on the ABC brand, correct? Okay, if you are the shipper, what is your concern on transportation? There are three concerns here. They are from the section 1.6 of your topic 1. Money, pricing transparency, right? If you're the shipper, you want to know the pricing, how much? Right? Everything boils down to cost. You and I may know. So if you are the shipper, shipper means someone who ship the cargo, right? That's why you are the shipper. Although you are the shipper, but that does not necessarily make you the buyer of the cargo. Alright, shipper can also be seller of the cargo, depend on the contract. Okay, but we are not going into that. So if you're the shipper to ship cargo, you want to know pricing transparency. You want to negotiate, right? You want people to tell you the truth, how much they're going to charge you. Agree or not? You want to know where the cargo is. If you're the shipper, you already engage a carrier to carry your stuff. You want visibility. Correct? Of course, visibility doesn't mean you want to see where the cargo is. Oh, now I'm here in Singapore. Yeah, I can see my cargo in the US. No, not that extent. At least through some technological advancement or tools, you are able to trace where your barang-barang or your cargo is. And the last one is one-stop global shopping. As a shipper, also same thing, if you are able to get a centralized place to shop, so-called to shop. Of course, for normal domestic stuff, I know you all have Shopee, you all have all these online shopping stuff, right? I don't know what I can't give you a lot of example because I don't use them. So sorry. So if a lot of you like Shopee, so Shopee is your one-stop global shopping center. Correct or not? That's what it means. So as a shipper, same thing. If you are shipping, if you are in certain trade, let's say cargo A, and if you are able to get cargo A from one place, a trustworthy place, you don't have to crack your head to need to search for another alternative or have to do a lot of very tedious negotiation before you finalize to ship. Okay. Just in time. What is just in time? Delivery services aspect affecting the cost. Just in time, like the word literally say, chun, you arrive, I use it. Just in time is just like you arrive, I use it. So the speed. One thing we are talking about the speed. To be able to be in a just in time principle, the speed is important. Right? For example, there's certain trade for example, for people who don't like to keep stock. Okay, I don't like to keep stock. Let's say for food, certain ingredient of food cannot be kept. Today I open business, today I must have it, I fry, I cook, finish. Tomorrow a new batch will come just in time. So are you able to provide the speed to fulfill this just in time principle? Of course, it affects cost. Just in time stuff normally is more expensive, right? So speed is important. Reliability, yes, it has to be reliable. Just like you don't keep stock. Today you open up your shop, you expect to receive this stuff, then you do business with the stuff. Is your supplier reliable or not? When you open your shop, the thing is still not there, and customer is waiting for you. Wow, your supply is not reliable. Frequency. How frequent do you need this just in time stuff? Is it every day? So all these affect the cost. If I'm able to supply you in good speed, in time, I'm reliable, flawless, right? And because of my ability for speed and reliable, I will charge you more, correct? But of course, how frequent you take from me is also important. If you are taking from me very frequently, the cost factor will also come in. I may give you discount, right? So speed, just now we talk about speed. Sometimes you don't need speed. Sometimes you need. Sometimes you can wait. So it depends on the type of cargo, right? A type of cargo, you need it fast, and speed is important. Also depending on the lead time, because supplier, sometimes in the supply chain, the supplier supply to you, the thing is not directly from the supplier. The supplier actually order from another sub-supplier. another supplier. Then this another supplier actually ordered from another supplier. So there is a lead time. There's a delay. Is it reliable? Yeah, I put it there in inventory management. Why? Because if your supplier is reliable, you don't have to keep stock, right? You don't have to rent a space to keep a stock. You don't have to use up a space in your shop to keep stock. You don't even need to check inventory if they're so reliable. Okay? Last one. Frequency is eliminate stock keeping. Yeah, if you are very frequently taking from the supplier in a just-in-time basis, this is very much linked to inventory management also. You don't need to keep any stock. Huh? It sounds very risky. Yes, it is risky, but there are supply chain or business that is doing such a thing. Okay. Model system, this one I will just go through very fast one. Intermodal system from road or rail. When we talk about road, it involves rail because road is the car, the trucks, but rail is a train that requires rail. If the train doesn't have rail, the train cannot move, right? So this is about bringing your barang-barang from the truck or the train to the sea. Straightforward, normally container. And it's very popular in US, alright? Then from the road to the sea, typically Singapore, because Singapore we don't have rail, we don't have rail, we don't even have airplane to bring to the port, right? Ours is typically road to sea, lorry, trucks, like I put here, imagine PSA and Jurong Port. Then road to rail, sometimes road to rail. From the factory, you use a truck or a lorry to bring the manufactured goods or to bring the raw material or the refined raw material. You have to bring to a train station, transfer it to the train. And of course, when this kind of thing happen, usually the cargo or the product is stored in a containment, right? It is most unlikely that the product is in the bulk type. If it's stored in the containment, can be container also. There can be a sea container or different type of container. Road air usually is very popular to those logistic company like DHL, UPS, FedEx, and so on. Meaning to say, they have their own road facility. They have their own lorry, their own truck. Right? So they are able to send the things to the airport. Then they transfer to their own aeroplane. I'm sure you have seen DHL aeroplane, UPS aeroplane, FedEx aeroplane. Those are the cargo plane. Okay. And lastly, sea to air. Now it's from sea to the airport. The sea to the airport. So it also depends on the compatibility of the interface, the intermodal interface, the type of cargo also. And normally, is it urgent? If it's not urgent, normally there won't be a sea to air. So many of you may be thinking, hey, you say urgent, you need to be fast, right? Then you use by ship. You still have to wait for the ship. The ship is so slow. Then you pass to the air then is faster. Yeah, you're right. You're right about this. This is sometimes on humanitarian ground, the United Nations, right? They use ship to bring in bulk, a lot of medicine, for example. Then they reach a central distribution point, a country that is being used as a central distribution point. Then from that country, it will be the aeroplane that go out. Okay? A lot of aeroplanes that go out and then further distribute to the rest of the world. Alright? Okay, we are finishing already. Intermodal interface. That means where does the lorry meet the ship? Where does the aeroplane meet the ship? Or what do you do when you meet each other? Physical transfer of goods from one mode to another. Intermodal, yeah, physical transfer. Even from a container truck to the ship, you need a physical transfer. From the warehouse to the truck, physical transfer. In the warehouse, there's already an interface, correct? Or in the factory, from the factory to the warehouse. The factory itself is an interface also. The factory will have the finished product passed to the truck or passed to the train directly, we don't know. So there's an interface. Then from the truck, you maybe move to the railway station, pass to the train, there's another interface. Then train, we go to another place, pass to the truck again, another interface, then truck pass to the ship or to the aeroplane. And the interface is sometimes you place temporary storage. Yes, that's why there's something called warehouse. Right? There's something called warehouse, a storage area. Especially for finished goods already done. Not necessarily immediately you send to the port of destination. You store in the warehouse first. Because warehouse is a service that help to collect all the finished goods. Not necessarily the same finished goods. There can be hundreds of types of finished goods in the warehouse. Then the warehouse people will help to collect, help to pack and everything before they are forwarded to another place. Right? You will be seeing warehouse. Statutory requirement, yes, all the intermodal interfaces will have to follow the law. Correct? You have to declare to the customer the quality of the goods, the quantity of the goods, correct? And then if there are certain tax imposed and so on, it will be made known. So in short, intermodal interface is we need to ensure smooth operation and the provision of adequate facility. Smooth operation, the facility have to be adequate. Right? You cannot go to a facility and then you find out, oh yeah, we don't have the cargo gear to bring this type of cargo. Alright? We are shortage of equipment to bring this cargo, shortage of manpower to do this job. Right? So with that, your attention.